In just 40 years, China did something no country in history has ever done. It pulled over 800 million people out of extreme poverty. That's not a statistic. That's the entire population of Europe moving from near starvation to the middle class in a single lifetime. Villages became megacities. Rice fields turned into factories. And an economy once on the edge of collapse grew into a $17 trillion giant. It looks like a miracle. But here's the truth most people miss. This transformation almost failed. To understand how radical this change was, you have to understand how bad things really were. In 1978, the average Chinese farmer earned less than someone in war-torn Somalia. Just years earlier, millions had died during Mao's Great Leap Forward, a campaign meant to industrialize China overnight. Instead, it produced the worst famine in human history. Farmers were ordered to melt metal in backyard furnaces instead of growing food. Entire harvests vanished. Between 15 and 55 million people died. By the time Mao died in 1976, China was barely functioning. Private business was illegal. Foreign investment was almost non-existent, infrastructure was collapsing. Hard work brought no reward, you couldn't profit. You couldn't improve your life. For many, survival itself felt impossible. So how did this country reverse its fate? The answer wasn't a revolution. It was a risk. Enter Deng Xiaoping. He wasn't young, he wasn't charismatic, and he had been purged twice during the Cultural Revolution. But Deng understood something dangerous. His famous line summed it up. It doesn't matter whether a cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice. Results mattered more than ideology. If something worked, China would use it, even if it looked capitalist, socialist, or something in between. That mindset changed everything. Deng's first gamble was small and incredibly risky. He created special economic zones, tiny pockets of market freedom inside communist China. Places like Shenzhen. In 1979, Shenzhen was a fishing village of 30,000 people. By 2020, it had grown into a city of over 12 million, a global tech hub. Inside these zones, private business was allowed, foreign companies could invest, property could be owned. Still controlled by the state, but freer than anything China had ever seen. If this failed, China could collapse. Instead, it worked. But the most important reform didn't start in Beijing. It started in a village. In Anhui province, 18 farmers met in secret. They divided communal land among themselves. If caught, they could be executed. That year, their harvest exceeded the previous 5 years combined. Word spread fast. By 1984, the government legalized what had once been punishable by death. Farmers suddenly had food to eat, surplus to sell, freedom to move into factory jobs. The miracle wasn't top-down. It was built from the ground up. China industrialized at a speed the world had never seen. Millions migrated from villages to cities. Factories multiplied. Ports, roads, and power plants were built almost overnight. China prioritized speed over debate. There were no decade-long court battles. No endless regulatory delays. The risk was enormous. Cities expanded faster than housing could keep up. Pollution surged. Living conditions were harsh. But growth came first, and that growth came with a cost. Workers endured brutal hours. Inequality widened between rural and urban China. Rivers became polluted. Air thickened with smog. Some communities were displaced. Others were left behind. Millions escaped poverty, but millions more struggled to catch up. This wasn't a clean success story. It was a trade-off. The impact didn't stop at China's borders. Today, China produces 28% of global manufacturing. More steel than the rest of the world combined critical components for electronics, EVs, and solar panels. Your phone, your laptop, your clothes. Chances are, China touched them all. Global trade, Supply chains and geopolitics were permanently reshaped. Now comes the hardest part. China is aging. Debt is rising. Automation threatens factory jobs. The conditions that made the miracle possible may never exist again. China escaped poverty by breaking its own rules. The real question isn't how it happened. It's this: can China survive the next chapter without repeating the same risks that once saved it? The answer isn't written yet.